Back to trading view. Where are we? Are starting to form the psychological ranges. And been just pretty grinding up, just staircasing, new high, come back, test the low. And now I'm just expecting them to continue to range between here. See where we end up around, or it's gonna be 5-6 o'clock here. When the ranges has been formed and we're gonna have our weekly spread. A lot of assets majors have been doing this thing since February. We came down and just stayed in this flat range. Solana, similar to. We were looking for this W. That's still. We did a form here, but we didn't have any push up. So what happened is we came back to it and just try again. Looks like we are loading up here. XRP, that was actually a coin that we saw here, the 14, that actually outperformed. Look at the Solana. They came back and they took this, where Solana had already done, not done it here. Have the, let's see, 2nd of February, XRP, 2nd of February, not here, not on ETH, not on either. Around here. Very grinded. There's been some coins that did move, and we have MYX. When the rest was moving, this is dumping down this month. We lost around 90%. It hit a new low and took out all of the liquidity from these guys. They tried one time, took this out. The next time they took out again. So if this move is not gonna be sustained, probably gonna look for another low. So we did what we needed to do on the ranges, took out the high and came back. There was another coin, CRO. What's it with CRO now again? Can have a little OM instead. OM mantra, that is getting delisted. And the message came out at the 20th and trying to observe what is happening before a delisting and what is that people trying to sell their assets to take some profit before. I don't know if it's gonna get up somewhere, but just be careful if you guys are trading OM right now as it's getting delisted. You guys traded Kite, just flies like a kite, came back to where they started here. So everyone who was shorting, could be a couple of guys, but as you can see, just PA wise, come back down and try to hold this. Try again, or we go lower. Not gonna dive in too much to these coins that are clearly pumping. Good volume, good pumps. Stable this. Okay, what do we have? I think we're looking at River. Also, remember we talked about MYX came down, take this out. They made a new low, and now we're back here. While MYX had a reaction, touching the low and reacted, while River does not have the same. Kind of similar. You can mark a low, you know that there's liquidity, and what did we do here? Did we go down and take it out yet? Oh yeah, you see, we touched it, and there was a reaction of 29%. Not too bad if you just caught this one. be this grindy for a time. Oh, USDT Dominance. We have been pretty much risk off, and we haven't been grinding on the daily. I haven't even touched since the last time we touched the 50 on the daily was back here, and then we took off in January. So I would expect us to come down and try to get this closer today. I mean, we've just been expanding away from it, so a little bit of coming back, grinding, and then take off either direction. And you guys know that if we want crypto assets to go up, we want the dominance to go down, meaning that they use their USDT to buy whichever asset they want. That will mean automatically. Usually, it's a very good correlation with USDT and Bitcoin. As people sell their Bitcoin, they get paid in USDT. I know that some guys also adding the USD pair. We spoke about earlier, like information overload. There's still the majors are being traded in USDT, but USDC is more or less set to be the future coin with all of the MiCA regulations. So I'm not gonna talk about this anymore on the stream. A little rant. Where are we on the weekly? You can see we came up to where we were in 2023, yeah. Even 2022 levels here. There's a lot of this also this is not an asset, it's a percentage. So there's like how much percent, and since we are printing USDT, it's always gonna go up. So if you're looking at, that's why, yeah, but it goes up, yeah, because we keep printing this asset. So it is not like, yeah, that's my explanation. I'm not complicated. Where are we on the high time frame? Level 1, level 2, level 3, peak formation, and we're now back to level 1 or level 3 drop, which we're back to where we started. This is this whole week that we took us up, and we still, what we did before we left was we peaked down and we touched it. So very dirty here. But how long did we stay in this period and just consolidate last time? You guys are like so almost a whole year in this range, and then so just we got expecting same thing, at least a little bit of period here to set some kind of support. You see, each time we are in this, we build up liquidity to the bottom, and this trends. It's like there's a trend here that we go up, but there's a smaller trend inside of this that is building up on both sides. But the bigger picture here was that we were going up. This is a downtrend. So there will be moments when we come back up. Like you see here, we had a whole period when we just grinding and then we take off. So this time when we grind for this long, you see how much explosive the move becomes. Here, same thing. But the move from this, we had a 40% move. Same thing here. We have a even more move. So the more we grind, the more explosion. Then we came up here and we made a new all-time high. We spent 126. This is the timings or whatever. We're gonna stay here until we decided which range we're gonna go, and then we leave and go and take the next range. So you have this range where we still have something around here, 48, and then looking at, I'm gonna add the order flow quickly. Double check it. So orders has been, they're still interested in this. So around every 1,000 there is Bitcoin ready to buy. Always talking about 59, 50. We know that they're ready to get in. Where did they buy from prior to this? 59, and it's still there. What have we got to the top side? We're coming to the last week of the month. I'm expecting to see people finishing off the business and get a little bit more orders here. People may be willing to take profit, or and then loading up for the new month to come. We have that since this is the trend down, retracing, building liquidity here, then we took that up, and then we had all the liquidity from here. The longer play here is that either we're gonna go and take out these guys here, which would mean that we still hold it, and then I could expect us to come up and try to do something very locally. We're gonna know much more after the ranges have been totally formed. So I add back high ranges now. Previous week, where were we? What was the ranges the previous week, and where are we now? Put on the historical level. I'm gonna try to hide my drawings. Where were we? We've been having these 3D the spread here, 1,000, around 1,000. What was the spread when we did the drops? You can see it's a lot tighter here. So wider, tighter, wider, tighter. Been doing, it's a bit difference here to what we're having right now at these lows. So you put on the historic, you can see how we're moving in down, and this we did a high, but what happened during that? We went below the low of the side. You short, retest, short. Every week the same thing. These levels get tested to give me a direction of my trading week. I think MYX we had a perfect. It's just sometimes it happen a lot faster. High ADR was hit. So low ADR could be a next target. I think there is always a possibility that we do that once that's done. Bitcoin high gonna be different, but still having the high where the liquidity is. So it makes a lot of sense to come up and take that. And looking at order flow, that was the thing we're gonna look at. Is the ranges corresponding with that? So we have around 7,900 and 70,900. We have some order there, and yeah, we have something at 70 grand, 382k. These are pretty good, just indicators of where potentially to take. These changes every day and it becomes recalculated. So what sometimes I do is I put this free to that just to have a understanding of this is the ranges. I'm not going to expect more for this day. So if you're just trading the intraday, I try to, you can even make like a box and then you take profit inside of this, depending on what kind of trader you are, of course. But this is if you are aiming for that kind of risk reward where you want to have a play. Sometimes it happens faster, sometimes slower. Let's have it in two, so in one session they made it and then gave it all back. That's why it's good thing to use this one. Like you can use 50 EMA or whatever, but seeing that a diagonal line, it's sometimes easier to use than a something like a trend line that's sloping, because this is set, it's not gonna change, and this is the consistency that I'm out for. This 50 EMA I tend to use more as like if I'm in a short and I'm not sure should I move stop loss, whatever I do, I can kind of use this as a, it's okay to touch it, but I don't want to close. So kind of good example here. We came up, almost touched it. If I would have moved my stop loss, would have been already out. That's a mental riding. The same thing here. What we're doing is we're just riding it. So I were to have a position here, and this is just a personal preference. You can use volume, indicate, whatever, but to have something to restrict yourself, like a robotic move. We talked about moving the stop loss. Okay, move the stop loss then with the 50. With the 50. If you really want. But you're not going to take profit with your stop loss because that's going to cost you money. So what you do is you take profit with limits, but you are securing money with this. So it becomes much easier for you to trade. But don't let your moving stop loss become like some emotional thing where you be, I want more. No, it has to be very robotic and systematic. Simple rules, simple stuff. It's going to be much easier when you get pressured. And that's why you practice, you grind, that you know. You can wake up in the middle of the night and I move it here. It's nothing else. That's all. You don't care. This is the strategy that you need to follow, and to at least try and do it 50 times, 20 times. Use the journal, and with that way you will have a better understanding of what kind of trader am I. Do I trust my strategy? So we go back to here. I can even make some mistakes. I said that I can have my own rule book here even. I can have the code 51 or code 50. So trailing stop loss 50 AMA. That was something that I was trying to test here. Did I follow the 50 AMA? I did. Now it's a rule violation, but you get me. Did I not follow the 50 AMA rule? I did move my stop loss, and I also moved the stop loss, but I didn't move it towards the rule. I messed up. I didn't move it. So 50. And by that you will know that, do I trust my 50, or why do I even use that in my strategy if I'm not even committed? So good things, learn about yourself. Very simple. Before, after, you save it in your journal. Which pair did you go break even? It's not about the money you made. It's about learning and understanding your own mind. So you chase the excitement instead of waiting for the boring setup. If you feel a rush to enter, it's gambling, not trading. You know, it can be pretty tough and hard, and we are not gamblers, guys, right? So it's important to look at your mistakes, criticize yourself. Did I follow my rules? I think a trade that you lose money on but you follow your rules is a good trade. But trades that you make money on and not following your rules are not good trades. And you should immediately close them out. And you guys be like, but it's free money or whatever. But it's not consistency. It is gambling. No. What I've done here is the little challenge. So mind edge and the trading journal. I went deeply. So I wanted to give you a little introduction about this before. So and so the biggest reason to why I'm doing this is to reinforce the good habits and also to make yourself more we spoke about comfortable, and it's not about being comfortable, it's about finding out what works for you when it comes to trading. So let me begin with a simple truth. You cannot control the market. You cannot control what happens next, but you can control how you respond. And that is where everything changes. The idea of never losing money, it's a lie. Loss is impossible to avoid, but the real loss, it happens in your bank account. It doesn't happen in your bank account, I mean. The real loss, it happens in your mind, in your head. Every time that you get angry, every time you trade from fear, every time you trade from revenge. Or to get revenge, you give your power away. The market becomes your teacher, and it will repeat these lessons over and over until you learn it. Think of it like this. Traders don't need to know the future. We don't need to. We don't know it. The only thing we need to know is how will I behave when that future arrives. That is the power, and that is the control. Every mistake is just data. Every loss is just simple feedback. The market, it is not punishing you. The market, it is just a mirror. It's just a reflection of you. It reflects your discipline back at you. When you stop fighting the loss, when you realize the game isn't about the money, it starts being about mastery. And the one who masters themselves never truly loses. Being able to figure out, am I mastering these emotions during a trade? Do I hesitate? Do I have FOMO? Am I moving my stop loss, early exit, grasping for that big, big win when it's not even in my plan or revenge? Then by doing this journal, as I showed you before, we put up an example, BTC, USD. I lost money, but I was neutral. I didn't care. I didn't have any of these feelings. Nothing. Maybe I was bored after the trade. I felt bored. I was bored during the trade. Anything you notice here. Did I do any mistakes? And then you save it. Perfectly. Boring execution. You follow the rules and you ignore the noise. Consistency is how you win in the long run. Can go with more. Am I hesitant? Again, anxious, or just euphoric? Let's say we are euphoric and we are impatient. We are also during the trade being greedy. Means we took an early exit. Or we were grasping and we didn't get it. So after the trade, how did we feel when we were grasping, early exiting? How did we feel? Were we relieved maybe? Oh, we are done. Or were I euphoric? Remember to BTC, USDC. What happened? We turn up with break even. You gave in to anxiety to relieve pressure. You choose instant relief over following the plan. And during the boredom of an open trade is the job. Greed is trying to force the market to pay you. Take what is offered. Compounding small, boring wins is the only holy grail. So again, looking back to what we're doing, everything has to have a plan. If I set a plan that I'm gonna short here, I will follow it with the same. It's just repetition, repetition, repetition. If I'm shorting here, I'm using the same risk to reward always. We repeat. Repetition. If I can do a 1-to-1 and I can get 51% right, I'm gonna be profitable. If I can just do a 2-to-1, consistency is what we're looking for. I don't care about these many percentage gains, whatever, because in the end, all these small ones will become one big, but that I can do consistently and every day. These big trades, they don't happen all that often. You can clearly see it. You're not getting those trades here. You're not getting those 9-to-1. But what you can get in this range is a 2-to-1, right? A 2-to-1. Sometimes maybe a 3-to-1 with the same stop loss that we reached out. Tighter, sure, but what's going to happen? You're going to get stopped out and you're going to have to find these best entries. And if you don't take an exit at the new high, you're going to have break even. how you act when you're in the trade, following the plan or not, and then letting it play out. As you see here, we got stuff. But the thing is, if you have identified something, I don't think it's always wrong to take a second stab at. As you see, we identified it with the right amount of first try. I was being way too greedy. I want to have a 3-to-1. I didn't get it, stopped out. Next time I say, let's do a 2-to-1 or a 1-to-1. You guys see? We are in profit almost every trade, depending on where we enter. Even with a bad entry, we still make money because we have been able to identify a trend. So what is a trend? A trend is new high or new low. What's happening is that we are trending and we are retracing on the way up, the long term. But there is also a trend in a trend. So what is happening here is that before we do this, it's gotta do that and this and this and then that. It's gonna be a trend inside of a trend. What you want to look for is closing higher than the previous high. Continue the trend, very basic. A low trend, you make new lows lower than these lows. So for me to be in an uptrend again, we need to hold this previous low and take out this previous high. Trends, just simplified, make it easy. That's about it for trends on me. I'm gonna repeat these things over and over, probably gonna be bored of me. Back to the ranges. So I'm not trading anything here, not doing anything, just waiting for the side ranges to get formed to get an understanding of where are we going. So whatever is happening now, I'm expecting once price does this, we hold and we close above on a 4-hour, a minimum, like we did here. We have a whole 4-hour close above the level. So the same thing for me is a 4-hour close above this green line. 4-hour, and then this 4 has to close, and you see which reaction we got once we gain. Next level will be here, which is the daily high. So for a long, we were looking for that. For a short, same thing, is do the opposite. We make a low, we have a 4-hour, multiple 1 hours, come back and test this range, and there you have the short. And simple scenario too, if you want to do whichever your risk is allowing you to do. Let's say that I'm using the 0.25% risk of $1,000 account. You already know that that's how much I can lose in stop loss, my entry to exit. With a 1-to-1 is the same thing that I want to make. So if I'm risking $50 in this trade, I want to make 50. To see, am I able to identify the right trend so I can take the trade? With this, I get a lot of more leeway, so I am allowed to be wrong. I don't have to have the best entry, and I will just practicing on taking the profit, accepting the risk of getting stopped out. And once you have that trade, and you also been doing the journal, you will have a more understanding on what am I doing wrong here. If I'm still not figuring out, am I hesitant, am I FOMO? Because you're having, this is a job for you, and you don't want to have all of these mental feelings when you are executing your job. You want it to be calm and just same thing over and over. These new things like news, and you tell me what dumps and pumps, and all of a sudden it's not consistent. Yeah, it happens, and if you're in the market, you pay yourself, and if you're not, you don't even trade it. It's just sit out. There's no trade, there is no plan. It's just a gamble. I can sound hard on you guys, and I want to read this quote. So I'm only trying to point you guys to the truth that I believe in, that I'm only a mirror. If you see me harsh, because I'm talking about gambling and things. That's your own resistance. If you see me as calm when I'm talking about this, you have found your own peace. Follow what I'm pointing to. Because I'm pointing towards something that is the truth. I'm not trying to, I'm gonna leave it like, just stop being emotional and look at what the bigger picture is in this, because the emotions and these mental pitfalls is something that we all humans have, and it's just human, and it can be very hard to give yourself feedback, to criticize yourself. Like, we have all of these excuses. Oh, would have, could have, should have. We cannot afford in trading to make these mistakes over and over. So with the right risk management and the right mindset, you will be resilient to withstand anything that the market does, because you know yourself what you're going to do, because you have a plan, and you also figured out what kind of trader am I. And by knowing that, that will be your power. That is the control that you have, that you don't have to ask anybody. You don't need validation from anybody. This is you. You focus on what you can do. What you can control is your entry, your stop loss, and your exit. The rest is up to the market. I'm gonna leave you guys in this. Thank you so much, and see you next Saturday. We'll do another projection. Enjoy.